Hello there. Today I've got what I hope is going to be a little treat. This is a wine from Donnhoff, one of Germany's leading wine producers in the Nahe Valley, and this is an Oberhauser Brucke Riesling Auslese from 2020. It's in a half bottle. As I say, Donnhoff, probably one of the more highly reputed German wine producers. They've made a lot of their reputation through some very high scores given to them. I think some of their Eisweins scored 100 points fairly regularly through a period of time, with the American critic Robert Parker, for instance. So this particular wine's a single vineyard wine. The Oberhauser Brucke is it's a 1.1 hectare monopole vineyard, so owned entirely by Donnhoff. And they're based in Oberhausen, the village, and this particular vineyard is just across the bridge on the other side of the Nahe river from the village. And this particular vineyard was very much fostered and planted with Riesling and very much cared for by Hermann Jr., who is the current proprietor, Cornelius's grandfather. So the vineyard is a grosses Gewachs, so it can produce dry wines with the GG label. Obviously this is an Auslese, so it has some sweetness and isn't entitled to be called a grosses Gewachs. The other thing to remark about this particular wine is that this is defined as a Goldkapsel Auslese. And it just happens that in German wine law, from a single vineyard, you can't make more than one wine that's labelled as, say, an Auslese. So if you have a particularly special barrel or something like that you want to keep separate and sell separately, traditionally German producers have had to use almost a type of subterfuge to differentiate it. So you'd have your ordinary, sort of, say in this case I think Donnhoff have white capsules, and then your special selection would be bottled with the same label, the same designation, but with a gold capsule to differentiate it as a sort of a special bottling. And in fact, if you had an even more special version of the Auslese, you might have a long gold capsule. So sometimes you'll see wines defined as lange golde Kapsel, so the capsule will come down further, and that is normally sort of the top Auslese from a particular estate in a particular year. I'm not convinced that actually that is the case here, because I think it looks to me, from what I can see in my research, as if traditionally the Auslese from this particular vineyard always has a gold capsule. So it's a traditional designation rather than actually an attempt to get around the quality laws as some people have used it in the past. The estate Donnhoff, they have about 28 hectares of vines throughout the Nahe Valley, and the family's history growing grapes and making wine here dates back to the 1750s, and there's documentation of that. But actually the estate in its current designation was started 4 generations ago by Hermann Donnhoff, who's the great-grandfather of Cornelius, who currently runs the estate. Really, though, it was Cornelius's father, Helmut, who established the quality reputation internationally for Donnhoff. When he took over the estate in 1971, they had just 4 hectares of vines. So he built up its size, he concentrated on Riesling, and today they have, I believe, 9 vineyards that are designated grosses Gewachs. So they've got some really fantastic vineyard holdings. Oberhauser Brucke is a gently sloping vineyard facing south-southeast. It's on classic Riesling soils. It's on broken slate with a light loess soil covering that, so really good drainage. The site is it's close to the river, so actually it's quite particular and quite good in most years at getting botrytis. However, in 2020, very dry vintage, and there's very little botrytis in this at all. So to get the level of sweetness in the grapes required to make an Auslese, this has probably had quite a long hang time. As far as winemaking is concerned, the fruit is all hand-picked, allowing selection so that they can find the botrytis bunches and use those. The pressing goes on as whole bunch pressing to give you a nice clean juice, and then settling, cold settling, just to allow the solids to fall out of the juice, is allowed to go on for 10 to 18 hours prior to fermentation in stainless steel tanks. The wine then ages in those tanks as well, so there's a real sort of clean fruit style being established here. So let's have a look at the wine, shall we? Just in terms of colour, you've got a medium, slightly strawish yellow, I suppose. It's the wine is, it's not really forming tears, but it is clinging to the side of the glass there, and that'll be the sweetness in there, because in fact it's only 8% alcohol, which in fact legally is only just wine, because you have to be at least 7.5% to be to call yourself wine. So let's have a look at the aromas, shall we? Or smell of them. It's a wonderful combination there of honey and lime. The honey, a very pure, sweet honey, the clean, runny honey. And yes, that, as I say, that lime, high toned, some lime blossom notes in there as well. Maybe some touches of, actually almost touches of bruised apple, almost sort of Chenin Blanc like there. Perhaps some slight notes of development, and that may be showing some of the little bits of botrytis that have found their way into this wine. So it's for taste. That's sweet, not very sweet. I mean, I would say fully sweet, but it's not luscious. It's actually not honeyed in terms of its style. The wine is quite light-bodied. There's almost a sort of an apple juice sort of note to it, but actually there are those notes of blossom and perfume sort of above that, and the lime. The apple almost becomes lime and quince-like. There are notes of pear. I suppose there is a richness, a sort of a slightly peachy mid-palate, but actually the freshness of the acidity is coming through. The wine doesn't finish sweet, it finishes fresh and clean, and again it's back to being sort of almost like a nice sort of fresh apple juice note there. So yes, a delicate, elegant wine that almost certainly will age for 20-30 years if you want it to, and will take up much more of a sort of a honeyed, rich, waxy notes, sort of those development notes that you get from Riesling as it ages. But yes, that's an elegant, delightful, lightweight, pleasantly sweet wine with just beautiful poise, balance, and a lovely intensity of flavour. It's not a heavyweight wine. It's quite light-bodied, but the flavours are enduring beautifully. You've got this lovely, fresh, limey, appley, honeyed notes that are continuing on the palate. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. That was Donnhoff's Oberhauser Brucke Riesling Auslese from 2020. Do please sign up and follow us on YouTube. Do please leave your comments. We'd love to hear what you think of the videos and what you think of the wines. And most importantly, I hope you'll join us again soon. Bye now.